Beautiful. Yeah. There we are.
Uh-oh. It's telling me this thing again. Hold on. We were sideways again. We can't be having that sideways action. All right. So here we are. Hello, everyone. I'm out here with my girl, Sasha Cueto. She and I know each other through the program with Layla Martin, Sex, Love, and Relationship Coaching. We met through there, and let me tell you all, that was a hell of a ride.
Oh, yes.
Was it not? That has been a hell of a life-changing experience for all of us involved. I just became infatuated with Sasha and her infectious, wonderful, just passion, her sense of purpose, and this joyful sort of orgasmic energy that she has, and how deeply and joyfully she shares her knowledge and her craft and her service to others. And so Sasha is an empowerment, sexuality, and Jade Egg coach. And for those of you who are not familiar with Jade Egg practices, they are some beautiful practices for women. And I'm going to have Sasha tell you more about that and her work and how you can take advantage of a Jade Egg practice that she has coming up very soon. She'll be launching that on Friday. So I'm thrilled to have Sasha here so we can talk about this amazing practice. And I just want to share real quick that last week I did an introductory sort of masterclass with Sasha that she offered on the Jade Egg practices. And I've done some Jade Egg practices before. I've always found them incredibly powerful. But I'm going to tell you, what I experienced with Sasha was probably one of the most powerful Jade Egg practices I've experienced as of yet. You used a word, Sasha, that, well, we'll get into that later. But I want you to first just tell everybody about your Jade Egg practice, how you got into this, and what you have to offer.
Thank you so much. I feel so happy, and thank you for such a beautiful introduction. I am also so happy, so honored to be here. I love your work. I love your presence. So it feels like it means twice as much coming from you. So really, really thank you. And yeah, the Jade Egg practice changed my life. It totally changed my life. I had two babies via C-section, and I could feel how I was disconnected from my body, from the halfway down. I could feel like there was just a sense of not feeling my body as mine anymore. Yeah. And then for some reason, different reasons, I came to find the Jade Egg. And the practice reconnected these two parts of my body. I could feel literally the connection. And not only that reconnection, but the pleasure and the power that was dormant in my lower part, in my womb, in my ovaries, in my pussy. And I could reclaim that power and start just, it's like a longing. It's like really my body longs for the Jade Egg. Sometimes if I haven't used it in a week or 2 weeks, my body starts to like, hey, we need it, give it to me. She just loves that sense of aliveness that the Jade Egg brings her. So it's like pampering my body in a very conscious way, in which I can actually go, not only like using it to feel a part of me that needs to be filled, but to create a sense of deeper connection. I say that it's like if the Jade Egg was coming from my heart into my pussy and created this connection. It was like if I was self-pleasuring from with the energetic penis of my heart into my pussy through the Jade Egg.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds so crazy, but it's just a little bit of what it does. And the magic is that it works in so many layers at the same time. Like it works in a very energetic level, it works in an emotional level, it works in a physical level. So when you connect all of these layers together, you get a formula that can be truly life-changing, because you really get, yeah, a better pelvic floor, and better orgasms, and better health, because your whole posture changes with a healthier pelvic floor. But you also get a sense of empowerment, because you know that your power, your pleasure, your joy depends no longer on anybody but on yourself. And that connects you to your own spirituality, because there is a sense of deep spiritual power that is dormant in our lower triangle, in all this sacred area that has always been particularly holy for women, which is our pussy and our womb and ovaries. So there is a lower triangle there that holds the power of life itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I want to say something here, because when I was doing your class, you did a practice. And so movement is, well, it speaks to me, but it really speaks to all human beings. And so she started the practice off, before we did anything with the Jade Egg, of embodying through movement and dance the energy of Balbo. And if you could get, well, I'll let you give a little background on Balbo and what the energetic value that Balbo brought into the practice.
Yeah, so Balbo is the Greek goddess of pussy. She's literally the pussy. Her eyes are her breast. She doesn't have a head, so there is no mental control in there.
Yeah.
Her eyes are her breast, and she laughs and speaks from her lower labia, from her vaginal. I forgot the proper word. From her labia, from her vulva. That's the word. She speaks from her vulva, and her brain is her womb. So it's like this wild connection to sexuality that is not in the head, that it's not that it's just primal.
Yes.
It's a very primal sense of being that is also connected to laughter and to movement, because when we laugh from our lower belly, we laugh from our womb. The deepest laugh that we have comes from our womb. So it's like this sense of shamelessness, playfulness, joyfulness that heals us and that connects us to the sense of aliveness. It's aliveness itself. So what I love about Balbo is that she is that reclamation of life that we women have, and how to reclaim this life force by just connecting to this primitive energy that is lying inside of us.
Right. And the intention, the setting of intention, and the word shameless really spoke to me, because every human being can relate to shame. Hello, everyone out there. Hi, Mary. Hi, Corey. Hi, everybody. If you have any questions, please feel free. But every human can relate to a sense of feeling shame. Yeah. And everyone craves, we all crave the freedom of shamelessness. And so when you use that word, like the shameless, and it was embodying this shameless energy of something that could laugh in the face of anything thrown at her, right? And if you think about it, shame is where the root of things that, like our low self-esteem, our jealousy, being in the head is what creates jealousy, low self-esteem, all of that. But that can stem from shame. But so the sense of being just in this primal wildness, whoa, that wasn't supposed to happen. I had it set for, anyway, being in this primal wild, what woman or man doesn't want to connect with that wild primal part of ourselves that is not run and controlled by the head? I mean, this head.
Yeah, exactly.
Just making sure everybody knows. And so to be in that nature that we all can possess and embody, it just sometimes takes some intention and practice when we live in a society that not is not okay with us being in that wild, shameless place of our primal nature and coming alive as a result of that. So like starting with that intention was really, really powerful for me. And then where you took us with all of that and your gentle and very joyful, very inviting, your direction and your leadership as you led us through the Jade Egg practice was so powerful. And starting with that intention of shamelessness, because we all have shame around our sexuality, around our bodies, around experiencing pleasure. And those are things that we're all meant to be celebrated and honored in a very sacred and conscious way. And so that's exactly where you took us through all of that, you and Balbo.
Yeah, and especially in such a time, that's precisely why I chose that class, and why I work with the energy of Baubo. What made me fall in love with her, and why I chose to work with her in this free class was that I think that it's more necessary than ever, because Balbo heals the wounded heart. There is this story that I tell in the class about how Demeter is crying. She's heartbroken. She's going through so much pain, and I think that that's what we're going through right now. The earth is in pain. We humans are in pain in this moment. We are seeing a very heartbreaking situation, and the medicine that Balbo brings, it's a medicine of joy, of reconnecting to the life force that reminds us that life goes on, that life finds a way, that we might see a cloudy day right now, but it's going to pass. We're going to be able to see the flowers reblooming again when we connect to the life force that is dormant in all of us. That's the message of the Jade Egg and the sexuality practices that we do. Is about life reclaiming us, life telling us, hey, there is a message for you, just listen, because life always finds a way.
Right. And there are so many powerful connections to our sexuality and our ability to move through life despite the the challenges and the obstacles and the fears and all these things that we all feel and face as human beings on this planet. So we forget the connection that our sexuality and just that life force has, to just help us move through those things. I mean, because we can all experience things like grief, and still have joy. Joy is a different thing than happiness, still have passion, still have an aliveness about us, despite having, other feelings as well that we may not prefer. But being able to embrace the whole experience in our bodies as just the human experience, that is a beautiful and powerful thing that can change our lives and the way we see the world, the way we see ourselves. And again, staying out of our heads. So these practices really help us embody, like be in our bodies, which is powerful, powerful, powerful. I'm just trying to watch to see if anybody has any questions or anything. So just so far, I haven't seen any. So, but yeah, tell us about, what kind of led you into doing the Jade Egg as a service to humanity, is how I would say, not just to women, but to humanity. And, how people can get involved and take advantage of what you're offering.
Yeah. Oh, so for me, the Jade Egg is a service for humanity, because I have seen that firsthand, in how it creates a change in the person that connects to it, because it connects you to your primal energy, to your pleasure, and to your partner. Because of course, it's a woman for women. It's a practice for women. It's a practice that we women do because men, even when I have guided men through practices that follow a similar nature, because once you have the formula, you can always adjust the formula, but they don't use the gem per se. They don't use the egg. But I have seen that men that have a partner that uses the Jade Egg start having like a partner that feels more connected with her vibrancy, with her joy, with her pleasure, and that creates a whole different level of connection. There is a sense of relaxation when men know that they are not the ultimate providers of happiness for their partner.
Yeah.
That pleasure doesn't depend solely on them, that they are not to be stressed about being capable or not to make their partner happy, but that their partner is self-sufficient when it comes to pleasure, when it comes to aliveness. And that it's like there is this tarot. My other love is the tarot, and there is this card that it's called the Lovers, in which there is the angel giving an apple, a fruit to the woman, and the woman giving it to the man. So instead of going for the Christian meaning of that, I understand it as how women are connected to the fruit of pleasure, to the fruit of aliveness, to the fruit of life flowing through her. And we provide that to the men, because there is this nature of female energy that it's so giving, that everybody, it's contagious. Everybody feels it. When a woman that is connected to her sexuality, to her pleasure, to her joy, enters the room, everybody notices that.
Yes.
There is a shift right away. And that's what I think is so necessary right now. Now,
can you imagine what this world would look like if every woman were connected to her? Anyway, just had to say that.
I'm so sure that so many of the issues with the world are related to sexuality, to how sexuality has been about a power of a power game, about people feeling less than other and having to take advantage of others in order to feel like they are worth a little bit more. So it's like the medicine lies in reclaiming our power and sharing from a place of abundance. Like, I have so much life in me that I can share it with those around me. I have so much joy that it just naturally overflows those around me.
Plenty to go around. It'll never run out.
Exactly.
Right? Endless. I love that. And can you explain a little bit to those who may have no idea what the Jade Egg, I'm just looking again, see, those who may have no idea what the Jade Egg even is, why a Jade Egg, what is it, what do you do? Like, could you explain a little bit more about what it is exactly, what the practice is all about?
Absolutely. So the Jade Egg, like physically, it's this gem. It's an egg that it's created from different materials. I specifically recommend the use of nephrite jade because it's the less porous and the most resistant one. But it can be done from glass or from obsidian or from other materials. So that is specifically what we are speaking about, which could be pretty much like weightlifting.
Yes.
So if you let's compare it to weightlifting. There is weightlifting, and you speak of, the dumbbells, right? And you say, hey, there are many different dumbbells and they are amazing, and I love my dumbbells and my barbell, but the practice is not the egg or the dumbbells. The practice is what you do with your body and what you do with your breathing and what you do with your energy. That's where the real practice is. Yeah. So when I speak about the Jade Egg, I am usually speaking about the compound of both the gem, but also the practice. And that is actually the most important aspect. In the class, actually, that I gave, I said, if you don't have the Jade Egg, it's okay. You can still do it. If you're on your period, it's okay. You can still do it without wearing a Jade Egg. So it's important, but just as with barbells and dumbbells, you can do practices that don't really require them. You can squat without a barbell. If you learn how to squat properly, you can always squat, and you can always do lunges, and you can always do fitness practices that that use only your body. And the same happens with the Jade Egg practices. You can do practices that only take your body, and as feedback you can use your fingers, or you can use a dildo, you can use something different. So yes, I promote the use of the Jade Egg, because it's like, hey, you're going to practice, have a beautiful dumbbell. So this is my dumbbell. This is my quality, beautiful, luxurious dumbbell, because it makes me feel like a queen. It's like, oh my God, I have a piece of jade in my pussy. I'm a
There's something rather exquisite about that.
Yes, it feels like, One just feels abandoned, right? Like, right. I don't need a necklace. I'm wearing a piece of jade in my pussy.
I am the necklace, right? Right. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Right on.
But yeah, the most important part is the practice. And that's what I teach. That's what I share, the practice. Because there's people that just buy the little rock and they don't really know what to do with it. They just put it in, and it's like, yeah, well, I worried, so what? Nothing's happening, or not much is happening. So it's about the combination. You can have the most expensive dumbbell up there, but if you don't know how to lift properly, you're just going to hurt yourself. So I teach people how to do it in a way that it's holistic, that you can taste the spiritual, the energetic, and the physical aspect of it.
And I can vouch for that, y'all. He does do that well. She really does. So what prompted you to take the Layla Martin coaching training?
Oh.
What made you decide to say yes to yourself on that?
Well, before that, I had already used my Jade Egg for almost a decade. So I have been using the Jade Egg for a decade now.
Okay.
So when I started working with Layla, I had been using it for 7 years, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just, I had just read a book, I had just followed a video, but there wasn't really like this deep knowledge of why it was working and what to do with it. So when I saw that Layla was offering this coaching program, I was like, yeah, this is the time to actually learn in a deeper layer what's happening, why it works the way it does, and how I can make the best out of it. And also I had been following Layla for a while, and I loved her, but it was really, and this is the most important part, that I was insatisfied with my sexual life, that I was deeply insatisfied, that I was trying to make my husband to be a better lover. I was begging him to study, to read something, because I thought I was doing my part, but he wasn't. And I was insatisfied. I wasn't having orgasms. Sex was tedious, sex was boring. I wasn't feeling sexy or pretty because, after many years of being together, passion was dying badly. It's like, I could just stand in front of him naked and he would look other place, right? It's like there was nothing there. And I really felt like I needed to step up for myself, to stop waiting for somebody else to make me feel beautiful, to make me feel seen, to make me feel loved, to make me feel aroused, to make me feel something. And I had to do that for my own self, because otherwise I would just die bitter and angry, because I would have been years and years and years with somebody that, I made a beautiful friendship and roommate relationship with, but sexuality was dying for us. And what happened was that when I reclaimed that juiciness, when I reclaimed that power, when I reclaimed that connection with my body, my husband also changed. because he saw that I was not asking for his energy anymore, that I didn't need him anymore, that I didn't feel resentful at him for not giving me orgasms, that I was like so orgasmic and full of joy and pleasure, that he was just wanting to have some of that. And in that sense, he changed as well.
Yeah, like you said, I think a lot of men out there are feel a lot of pressure. They are givers and they want to satisfy their partners. And there's a lot of pressure to perform, for them to do, for certain things to happen, for them to make their woman orgasm. And they, especially if they're with a new partner or something like that, it's like, this, it can take you out of the present moment when there's so much pressure to perform, or so much pressure, like there's a goal here, I'm trying to get her to orgasm, and then that energy can make her feel the pressure also, and it just becomes this chain reaction where we can become afraid to even approach each other, because there's this, oh, I'm going to be met with my own failure somehow. We make it mean a failure or something, when it really just means we don't have to know what we're doing. We just need to be present and take responsibility for our own pleasure as well. And know, like, it can be so complicated, especially if there's trauma involved and things like that cause us to shut down. And a trauma was what led me to Layla's program. And halfway through, I decided, oh, actually, it's not trauma I want to focus on. It's liberation from trauma that I want to focus on. And it shifted for me. And I had been so focused on helping people heal trauma, and the focus stayed on trauma, sexual trauma, mine and everyone else's. And it was like, wow, what if I just took trauma out of the equation and said, how about liberation? How about getting free? And how about actually enjoying your sexuality and your body?
And you do that so beautifully. It's your energy that brings that sense of liberation and joy with you. I love that.
Thank you. Well, you are doing amazing work. We don't, it's like, I think a lot of times we neglect and underestimate the power of our own sexuality and the quality of our own sex lives, whether it's with our own self, if we're single, or, with our partner. Whatever that would look like, it can look like many different things, but we underestimate the power of that and what it has to do, or how it feeds into and impacts the other aspects of our life. And so your work is incredibly important, and the work of all of us as coaches around sexuality, and we all have different niches and different people we connect with. So it is never been more important, in my opinion. And I love that you're out there doing these, the Jade Egg practices and the other things that you do, because they really are very powerful. And what a beautiful way also for women to connect. When I was doing the 1 hour masterclass with you, I felt connected to the other sisters who were in the program, even though we weren't doing it at the same time. I knew I could feel the energy of the other women in the program and your leadership, that connection with us all, and felt like, wow, I'm not just healing myself. I'm not just doing, like, stepping in and embodying my own aliveness and joy and wild primal nature, my sexuality, but we're all embodying these qualities together as sisters on this planet. And it is really, really a powerful thing, because women need sisterhood. And we've had women to women wounds where we can sometimes, I know I have shied away from women because I didn't trust women, and I was hurting myself in doing that, because I need my sisters.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the most beautiful parts, that when we heal ourselves, we heal our sisters. And it's a sense of empowerment, a sense of connection with one another. And there is such a beautiful medicine in there for the world. It's how would the world be different if we empowered one another with this sense of love and connection with our own pleasure?
Yeah, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I'm just looking to see if anybody has any questions. If you have any questions, ask them now.
Yeah. The program that I am creating precisely wants to honor that. It's that's why I changed it from just a Jade Egg course into a Yoni Love Party celebration. So the idea is to create like four sessions of Yoni Love, just to be there for ourselves, like this party that it's also going to be accessible for everybody in your list that wants to join. They can access the recording. I will send you the link so that they can check it out and see and live that experience for themselves.
Yes.
And then that was one flavor. That was the flavor of Baobo. Baobo as the healer that reconnects us through laughter. But there is another flavor of Baobo that we're going to taste in every week. And one is going to be the flavor of fire, the flavor of strength, of going into our fierceness, of going into the sense of my children laugh because I'm like a Spartan. It's like, oh, just connect to your Spartan warrior. So it's like a Spartan warrior pussy.
Yes.
So that's one flavor, like, ooh. Then we're going to connect to another flavor, which is more primal and wild and roaring and howling and becoming almost animalistic and just like this walking like animals and crawling and feeling the pussy nourishing and connecting to everything in the wildlife world. And then we're going to connect to another part that it's more about healing our womb, healing our ovaries, healing our pussy, de-armoring,
Yes.
breathing through it. So it's a very healing experience. And the last one, it's a very orgasmic experience, expanding our capacity for orgasm, creating a more wider sensitivity for pleasure, and expanding orgasmic energy. So it's like 4 different flavors, 4 different weeks, just to connect, to dance together, to feel together. It's less about the theory and more about the experiential practice.
Yeah, love it. That sounds like a hell of a journey that you're going to take us on, Sasha. I can't wait. And I would just like to say, for those of you who have experienced some trauma, that she mentioned something about de-armoring. There are practices you can do. We as women hold a lot of trauma in our cervix, or the energy of our cervix, if you no longer have a cervix, but we hold a lot of trauma there, and there's a lot of potential for healing there through sex. Literally, the tip of a penis has a lot of healing power. So when it connects deeply to the cervix, there's a tremendous amount of like healing, and can be some de-armoring there in that way as well, with the right intention. But there are practices that can be done, and that's why another thing with the jade egg being inside of you, de-armoring and things like that, there really is a powerful practices that can help release trauma from our cervix. And there are others. I have a little diagram. I'll put it in the comment box. It's a diagram of the vaginal canal, and there are different spots along the vaginal canal that correlate to different body parts and things we can be experiencing in our body. So it's a very interesting thing. So there's a lot of healing power, and it makes sense why there could be held a lot of trauma in our vaginas. So at the same time, where the trauma is also where the answer to the healing is. And so this is another reason why this is a really powerful practice. So I just want to encourage you, if you feel shut down because of some trauma and things like that, it's definitely something you might want to look into.
Yeah, and not only like deep trauma, because the first question that was that I hear is like, well, but I didn't go through something
Yes,
like
yes.
particularly traumatic. I just, but it's just like tension. Tension accumulates in the whole vaginal canal. I always give the example of the shoulders, and like when you get tense here and you start just going like this, and you don't even notice, but your shoulders are already almost touching your ears all the time. You're just so tense. So you need like to relax, and it hurts, and you lose sensitivity. And when somebody just gets to press in the right points, it hurts a lot. So, and the same is happening with our vaginal canal. It's like penetration isn't meant to be painful. I
Right.
remember some experiences with the gynecologist in which she would introduce the the thing that looks like a dog face.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's favorite trip to the doctor.
Yeah, and when she introduced the is that a speculum? I don't remember the name, but
Speculum. Yeah.
but
Okay.
we call it here in Mexico the duck, because it literally looks like a duck face, like. So when they introduced the duck in there, I was like, oh my God, it's hurting me. It just would hurt. And I know that the doctor did it so carefully, and it wouldn't matter if it was one doctor and another, until I went into a deep dearmoring process, and I recognized that it wasn't the duck. It was that I was holding a lot of pain and tension in my vaginal canal, because I was like this. And it can be like just reading the news, or sitting down too long, or having a bad experience with a boyfriend, or having a bad experience, or an infection, or whatever causes you stress accumulates in different areas of your body, and your vaginal canal is not an exception.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. It's not just trauma. It's everyday life that we can experience, that we can, again, there's so much potential for healing that stress or relieving that stress, that pain, things like that. But we have to, we just have to be intentional about it and make it a practice.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
is a beautiful practice. It's just like working out. It's like trying it and then realizing, okay, what works for me? How can I fit this into my life? And then once you do, it becomes second nature, and you're like, I don't know what I would do without this.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
And of course there is trauma in there too, but the idea is to be like make it gentle and flow with it,
Yes.
in a sense that reconnects us to that joy and aliveness in our pussy, because our pussies are meant for joy and aliveness. That's their very nature.
That is very, very true. It could not be more true. And we forget that as women. We go about our day, we get in our heads, and we forget these other things. So it's a beautiful thing I love the way you guided us in the practice to get out of our heads and embody some of our our most joyous parts, and just be in our bodies. And I love being in my female body. I love it. And you made me love it even more.
Oh,
Yes. So tell us, I can't remember. Did we talk about, I don't think we did, how people can sign up for your program? All of
yeah.
that.
So I will send you the link to the free class that we are discussing, and
Okay.
from there is a link to the paid class that I will be offering, and I will also send you later today, because I'm still polishing some details there, the information for the new class. So why am I polishing some details? Because I want to make it affordable. I want to make sure that as many people as possible join, and that money is not an excuse in a time when we all need to connect to pleasure. So my idea is to make sure that I create the possibility to join, even if you can afford it, well, awesome, because it would be ideal. But
Yes.
if you cannot afford it, to just say, hey, I want to, but to take part in the sliding scale option. And just like that, without questions asked, to be able to enter whatever you can afford, without like a minimum required, so whatever feels good for you, so that people can just join in play with us, enjoy the process of these 4 weeks of connection. And that's my service. I want to make it as a service, to make it as a way to have more pleasure in a time when we are being overwhelmed by stress.
Yes, and I so appreciate you and the service that you offer. So I'm inviting all you out there, my sisters and guys, if you're watching, tell any woman that you care about and love, whether it's your woman, like your partner, or your sister, or whatever. I want you to share this because it is a really powerful thing. I wanna experience this with some of my sisters, and let's all get in the power of pleasure is just unbelievable. Pleasure has an incredible impact on us as humans. We cannot be in the stress response if we're in a space of pleasure, because then we are in the relaxation response. Our parasympathetic nervous system is activated, and we cannot be in stress response while in that relaxation response. And pleasure is key to that, among other things. But powerful, powerful practices for these times. So I want to encourage everyone to check it out. If you have any questions, reach out to me, or you can reach out. I can connect you with Sasha. Thank you so much for your time, Sasha, and thank you for just being on the planet and being you in all your glory.
Thank you so much. It's such a delight, and really thank you for sharing this beautiful space with me, and for allowing me to come here and just speak about something that I am so passionate about. And I really hope that many of your listeners take a moment to enjoy the free class and see for themselves how what we are talking about, how it shifts the mood right away.
Yes, yes. Go take advantage of that, because it is really powerful. Find out for yourselves. Let's get curious about it. So I want to encourage you all. I hope you all have a wonderful day. This is one of many ways that you can help yourself in crazy times. So we'll be seeing you. I'm gonna cut off the thing now. You stay there because I want to tell you something. Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Bye.